Warm greetings all. This is Reality with Partiality. Ivan, how you doing, my brother?
I'm doing fine, my brother. President, good morning.
Yeah. While Dr. Castillo situates himself, let me tell you and the general public the secret to becoming a millionaire. This four-player session you and I are doing is independent of Dr. Castillo's presentation. He will be allowed to take as much time as he needs, and the focus will only be on him when he comes. So, with your kind permission, I will briefly explain to you the way religion, not spirituality, convolutes most people's thought processes. And by the way, Ivan, Christianity is only one religion, you know. There are 4,200 religions worldwide. So I am not hating on moralists, just to be clear. I don't hate anyone. I am here to educate, helping people to bring their body, mind, which are physical, and their spirit, which is non-physical, under the same roof, and to be governed then by the spirit, which is a choice they make, as opposed to being governed by their body and mind. So, morality is bad for the individual growth process because it frames things in terms of right and wrong, which is to the contrary of reality, what exists, to the way God created this physical universe. Here's the distinction, Ivan. You are both physical and spirit in nature. Your physical nature, however, is limited by the boundary of space and time. Your physical space boundary is your height and your shoulder width. Your time boundary is your lifespan. The spirit realm, however, and you are a spirit being at the core, you're the breath of God, is boundless. So there you can grow perpetually, you know, without limit, grow and expand. So notwithstanding God created everything good, moralists have devised religious schemes, reframing it in terms of good and evil, right and wrong. So you have a situation wherein so-called believers / followers walk around crippled. Hence the reason many of them are not wired mentally in problem-solving mode, because they are there bursting their chops in so wanting to be right all the time, instead of realizing that whatever limitations there exist, and everything in the physical realm has limitations, is a given situation. So here's Dr. Phil. I'll just keep you backstage a little bit, my brother, but yeah, you're there. There are no problems in life, Ivan. There are only situations. Situations only become problems to those who don't have the solution. The point is that God created everything good, you know, in the physical created universe, but it's been twisted by religion, right? Calling it good and evil. Yeah. Good, bad. So everything in the created universe, this is the issue, comes with limitations, which you cannot grow beyond limitations, boundaries. Therefore, when you take God at his or her word, saying that everything is created good, millionaire want to be, however, that everything comes with boundaries, yeah, limitations. That's the secret to becoming a millionaire. So start by you being a labor consultant. When you were employed with government, you were working the glass half empty, right? A side of the equation, of half full side of the equation. You were being like an optimist, right? About life. Now you're working for the people of Belize, right? Private practice. So you need to examine the Constitution this time as a labor expert right? And lawyer, from the glass half empty side of the equation get hired, to get jobs, right? Because that's how people, it affects people out here, right? You will see the difference. You will see your business growing and become a millionaire. So Ivan here's hoping you and Janku public are appreciative, right, of this short presentation. For I have just shared with you that secret of how you can become a millionaire, consciously changing the way you think about things. Now, today in
Thank you, brother.
studio,
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
you're welcome. You're welcome. Most welcome. We have as our guest Dr. Philip Castillo. Dr. Castillo, retired. He will tell us, a professor and a pollster, no doubt, who routinely provides Belizeans with analysis regarding competitive races, especially the juicy races in the political arena. In addition, he knows the economy like no one else, the Belizean economy. Dr. Castillo, we've already exchanged pleasantries backstage. Go straight ahead and deliver this hot tamale to the Belizean people.
Very interesting. Very interesting how you define it. But
Yeah.
starting off, good morning, Percy. Good morning, Ivan.
Good morning. Good morning, Doc.
Nice to see you, good gentlemen, on a Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
One good thing about all three of us is that we are all products of the South.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. That.
My journey started over 60 years ago in Dangriga. I was born in Dangriga. My family, my immediate family, the family I was born in, there are 7 of us, meaning that my parents, and then I have 7 of us. My father has passed on, but my siblings are all in the United States. I have other siblings. I have other brothers and sisters from my father's side, and they're also all in the United States. So I'm the only one who is a Belizean. That is how it is, and that is how it is. That is how it will always be. I am here in Belize. I'm not going anywhere. My educational journey started at Secretariat School. That time there was no preschool. You entered school at standard 5, and you could have done basic things when you at age 5 years old. Sorry.
Yes.
And you could have done basic things when you entered school. You knew some alphabets. You could have spelled your name. You could tie your lace. Well, you didn't wear sneakers then, but you could do basic things.
Yes.
So I attended Secretariat Primary School from infant 1 to standard 6. And then when I graduated, I went to Ecumenical High School. When I was finishing Ecumenical High School, that was Form 4, the principal at the time, Mr. Augustine Austin Flores, the esteemed Mr. Flores, he called all of us individually to his office to speak to us. Now, I'm not certain what he told the others, but what he told me was that we are educating you to lose you. Because at the time, ecumenical was the highest level of education you could have gotten in the South.
True.
And to go further, you needed to go to Belize City at one of the junior colleges. So I completed ecumenical. I left Dangriga to go to Belize City, to the Belize Technical College. That was from 1981 to 1983. I finished technical in 1983 and got my first job in Belmopan. Since then, from 1983 to 2026, I haven't lived in Dangriga for any extended period because I worked in Belmopan. I did all my graduate, undergraduate, doctoral studies from Belmopan, and I'm now retired and in Belmopan. The Hummingbird Highway between then and now, it's a very different highway. It's a nice 1-hour drive now. It wasn't that way 50 years ago. So I go to Dangriga pretty often. My mother is still there. Most of my investments are in Dangriga, and I go there pretty often. in terms of education, finishing technical, my first degree was straight economics. I have a bachelor's, a technical. I did an associate in economics. So my associate degree is in economics. My bachelor's degree is in economics. My master's degree is in development studies. And my doctoral degree is also in development studies. For my doctoral degree, my thesis focused on the citrus industry. At the time, the citrus industry was the most dominant industry in the South. And Garifuna people basically formed the backbone of that industry. What I wanted to do, I wanted to focus on what I call a value chain, meaning that citrus, oranges are grown countrywide, but mainly in the South. And then the oranges are used to produce concentrate. The concentrate from Belize is exported to Florida, where American citrus interests blend that concentrate with their concentrate, and then they sell orange juice all along the east coast of the United States. So that if you're in any one of the big cities of the East Coast, you're looking at New York and Boston and Philadelphia and those kind of cities, and you're drinking an orange juice. It's quite possible some time ago that the base of that orange juice was from Belize. That, as you know, is no longer so. The industry is dying basically, and you see that the replacement is things like coconuts and those other products. But for my thesis, I wanted to trace the orange. My thesis is named In the Footsteps of the Orange. So I was following the orange from Dangriga and the South to the United States, where it is consumed as a final product. That was my thesis. And I wanted to know, what can Belize do to generate more money from oranges so that the product becomes sustainable, so that this industry continues to be the livelihood of the South. That basically was what my thesis is all about. Work-wise, as you know, I retired from the University of Belize. My first job with government, I served as an information officer, and then I served as an economist. And then when I came to UB, I taught economics and research. So those are my areas of expertise. Post-retirement, I've been moving into polling. What a poll does, basically, a poll seeks to predict the future. Mr. Williams, as a politician, Mr. Lewis, used to be an aspiring politician. You guys ought to be interested in polls, because what a poll does, a poll predicts the future, seeks to quantify uncertainty, meaning that there will be an election in Dangriga next year. There will be a mayoral election in Dangriga next year. You would want to know who would win. A poll can tell you that, among many other things. I know that Mr. Williams has put his hat in the ring several times for area rep for Stan Creek West. He might still throw his hat again, because Stan Creek West is one of the largest constituencies, and we do not know what redistricting will bring about. But obviously, if redistricting brings about more than one possible seat, I could very well see Mr. Williams throwing his hat again. If you do that, sir, you certainly want to know, you want to have a pollster to tell you the truth and to tell you what you could do if you want to be successful, basically. Polling predicts the future, and a pollster can do that. Pretty much that's my story. I not sure if I missed out any major parts, but that is my story.
Well, co-host.
Yes, man.
One called your name several times, so you might as well start the Q&A.
I know, but I don't really want to get into that. That's something that would need to be decided. But in terms of your polling, other areas of polling, because I know you've done other studies, other polling or other discussions in development and so on. Tell us a little bit about that.
What is unfortunate is that in Belize, we do not value information. We want information, but we do not place a sufficient value on it to want to pay for it. For example, the most recent thing I did, well, in conjunction with students, look at Belize's morning talk shows. This is one of the most competitive aspects of Belize's media scene. On an average weekday, all the various major stations have a talk show. You're looking at Love FM and Creme FM, Channel 5, Channel 7, and then there are the political talk shows. Wave has one, the Positive Vibes, that's the PUP station, has one. In fact, I would think that UDP has two. You're looking at Wave and Colorblind, basically. You want to know the level of listenership. Who listens to these talk shows? What's the demographic characteristics of a typical listener? These are things that a businessman would want to know, because that assists, that aids a businessman in how to place his advertisements. That you as a businessman, you want your ad to reach the widest possible audience. And a poll could tell you that. A poll could tell you which is the most listened to talk show, which is the most watched talk show. For later on this year, when I hope to focus on the evening news broadcasts, around that 6:00 p.m. news time. Again, all the major studios have their news. Love FM has a news, Channel 7, Channel 5, Creme FM, the various religious stations also have their news. You want to know the level of listenership or viewership. That's what a poll seeks to do. These are the kind of things I want to branch and to move in.
What about development? What about development? I know you have done a lot of studies on particular youth, employment, cultural tourism. Give us some highlights of some of the things that you have seen in terms of where we need to go as a,
That exactly is where we need to go. Cultural tourism. If we look at development where Dangriga is concerned, if you measure development in terms of looking at Dangriga and comparing Dangriga to the other municipalities, or comparing Stankwik district to the other districts, we are not developed. I recall when they used to, the South, they would say the South was the forgotten districts, or something like that, the forgotten districts. If you look at the indicators that our statistical agency used to measure our well-being, if you're looking at employment, if you're looking at inflation, if you're looking at consumer confidence, Dangriga and PG fall below on most of those scales. And if you look at ethnicity, again, we are below on most of these scales. So then we need development, we need sustainable development. And to attain that, we need to focus on our strengths. And our strengths in Dangriga, in the Stankwik district, is no longer the citrus industry. Our strengths have to be seen as our cultural assets. How can we use culture to spearhead development? And that is where I think we need to go. In a sense, we've started that. The Jetty Pier, we all grew up knowing that the Jetty Pier, I recall that road to Jetty, from about the Y Park to Jetty, was the only paved road in Dangriga. I recall that when a ship came in, that brought about economic stimulus to the town. Now, we need to repurpose Jetty. That process has started. It can no longer be a citrus exporting pier or port, but certainly it could be a marina where boats and yachts and those kind of things come in. Now, picture this scenario. A small cruise boat, a yacht, comes in with about maybe 50 or so persons. They park at Jetty, and then they take a tour of the town. They take a cultural tour of the town. You would take them to possibly Gulisi Primary School for possibly a 1 hour cultural performance. You take them to dine at one of the many places that you could dine in the town. You take them to, does the man still, I think he passed on recently, but do his daughters still do drums at the Wynot Island, the drum making operation at the Wynot Island?
That's Mr. Rodriguez, right?
Yes, I know he passed on, but
yeah,
do his daughters still follow through?
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
Yes,
Ivan,
yes.
let me take a stab, if you will.
Okay, good. Sure.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, forgotten. Okay, forgotten. Okay, somebody came up with that. You said citrus, but there's the banana as well. The other direction, Southern Highway. There's that. Good. Now, the main stool is the tourism stool, correct? Of the
That's
economy.
what seems to be the future. Yes, that is correct. That is correct.
And you talk about our cultural assets. That is a key. Okay. Now, the Belize, Guatemala, and I moved on. I'm just getting into my question. At the end of December or so, we expect that verdict. With the verdict will come the ruling to demarcate the maritime, where we expect that there is oil. It's trilateral too. We are rich in natural resources. We have farmland, residential land on the borders with Guatemala. We have oil on land as well. It is alleged, especially on the border. So we have lagwood, mahogany, chate, we have these things, natural resources. So juxtaposing this cliche forgotten, isn't the South the rich part where everybody should be flocking? Where the wealth
Well,
is?
our anthem, our national anthem speaks of wealth untold. But really,
Bam!
if you have wealth that is untapped and that you're unable to tap, basically, then you're not wealthy. You speak of oil. I do not know that Belize has oil. We found oil in the west of Belize. To the best of my knowledge, the oil fields that were found, they have not produced commercial quantities of oil, and they produce what we call crude oil. Crude oil is oil when you pull it out from the ground. You have to now refine that. Belize doesn't possess the capabilities to have a refinery. If we find oil offshore, in fact, I don't even think we signed agreements, the blue bonds. I think that I think those we can't allow. We can't drill for oil offshore. I think there's a
Okay,
referendum about that.
okay.
And
But
so I
I will
wouldn't.
challenge you the same way I'm challenging Ivan.
Yes.
If we can tap, you went on to say if we can tap, and then you went on to say, as if though you are still getting paid from semi-government. In other words, how do you message that to the landowner with 50 acres down south, 25 acres? Huh? Who is this we? Who is this we? Huh? Stop selling bloody land and get down to business? Huh? Huh? Hello? Talk
Yeah.
to me.
Lots to talk to you. Focus on the land. What we call the land in Toledo, as you know, is subject to dispute. We have the land rights issue, the communal land issue. One of the advantages, if you could call it that, of communal land is that this is collective land. This is our land. You're speaking of the Mayas, and that anybody within the community can work on this land, and you can't sell the land. That has advantages, but that has major disadvantages. For example, there are certain kind of crops, you're looking at cacao, that you require long-term ownership of that land, that you require resources to develop that land.
Phil,
We really don't
cut
want
it
to
out,
put
cut it out, cut it
permanent
out.
crop.
Me, I hear the talk. The
Yes,
microphone is off now. The gloves they off now. We
put
don't
back the
around this
mic
kitchen
on.
table. We
Yeah.
don't around this kitchen table. We are talking to each other and our people. We're not talking about the government, what the government should do. We're not talking for the masses and so on. We're not talking about land in dispute and this thing with the Mayans and how you deal with that. Make the government sweat that, man. That's the way they get paid for. Make them sweat how they deal with that ruling from the CCJ, whatever. But there are people with land in the south. I am reiterating again. I want you to talk to people who got 5 acres of land, 10 acres of land, 15 acres of land, not land in dispute, title land. Because are they rich? Are they rich? Are they rich? Assuming there's a tourism plan, for example, right there on the way to Placenta, you have to pass where the village in here, where he near again.
You have Maya Beach, you have Seabite.
Come on, name the Garfla village man name.
Hopkins.
Go, not Hopkins man, that away. Seabite.
Yes.
Huh? Now, if the tourism plan is smart, because a lot of land that is advertised as Placenta is right there in Seabite. If the tourism plan is smart, right, it develops Seabite to the level of Placenta, so all the landowners and people from the main also benefit equally. Hello?
To a certain extent, is already happening. Meaning that what happens in a tourism area is that you see these nice glitzy hotels, but the workers can't afford to live there because land prices become expensive. So these workers need to live somewhere else. So that is what you see. You see Placentia workers, tourism workers, living in St. Bite, living in the other villages like Santa Cruz and those kind of things. So even in St. Bite, you see tourism development in St. Bite. St. Bite need lots of that. St. Bite has the same geographical advantages as Placentia. And so there's
but if I may say something.
One moment. I want you to answer him because he's I don't know. We and I grew up together, but he's deliberately maybe cramping my style. Because
let me try then. Let me try.
He's talking, right? You know, I don't know. I'm saying there is not a problem. He's saying there is a problem. I don't know. The problem is your son, my son.
That's what I wanted to focus on. That it is a matter of people. This is a matter of we. That when I say we, I talk about individually recognizing how do we fit in the scheme of things. This is what we are trying to promote, that everybody individually, without being the version of somebody else, you be the version to create. You spoke a lot about cultural tourism, but we need to drive it home that people come to the realization that don't wait on the government, don't do this, don't do that, but to try to make the best that they can out of the situation. You talk about cultural tourism, you talk about, and then there you have the orange economy. There are several things that people tend to want handouts. People tend to be waiting for the government. People tend to, they have this appetite, right? When for politicians to do everything.
Not talk too long, make it defend itself.
So we want to inspire. We want to go along the line to talk to the individuals. Yeah, go ahead.
Doc, go ahead, Doc. It's a rapid fire. Go ahead.
Yes. Sand sea tourism can only take us so far. What we have basically is sand and sea tourism. We need more than that. We need for the visitor to have an experience that he or she will not forget, that he or she will want to return. And that's where cultural tourism comes in. If you bring a visitor to Belize, and then you take that visitor to the you say to like St. Bite, let's look at what's happening in St. Bite. There is a tourism center in St. Bite. If there's a cultural performance there, that person gets to appreciate the culture. After that person eats local food. That person purchases local artifacts. That person, that is where tourism leaves money. What you want is that for the tourist experience to benefit the tourist as well as the local visitor, as well as the location, and then you want that money to percolate around. If you look at what's happening now, we have these various dance groups where they have their uniforms looking nice. Those uniforms have to be sold by people. That's money circulating in the town. You see the young drummers. Those drummers, if they're paid, if they are receiving some income from their services, that encourages them to practice, to hone their craft. That is what you want. You want cultural tourism which is far more than sand and sea tourism, because the resources from cultural tourism percolate down and more people benefit. That is what you want. You do not want to bring these tourists to glitzy hotels where they stay in the hotels and only the hotel owner and manager benefits. That is not what you want.
No, you are right. No, you are right. I didn't put my foot wrong. We are both right. But now, as you prepare your parting shot, as you prepare your summation, Doc, I think you miss your calling, and in your summation, you're allowed to react to it. Not that you miss your calling. I think you have a second calling. You're not supposed to go to pasture. I heard. Did I hear you say you retired? Well, you are going to unretire, or you're going to make a parallel move, because you are talking like a policymaker. You need to be in Belopan, in the house. Yeah, because you that is how exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Taking your advice.
No,
I don't trust them, I trust you. You will go there and do the right thing. Now, Doc, we have reached the end of all this debate. Make your closing argument for us, please.
Listen, I mean, I see myself as a product of the South. I see myself as I would want to develop the South. That I am from the South. I now live in the West. I've traveled this country extensively. I've traveled the world. I've traveled the Caribbean and several other areas. And I want to see the best for Dangriga. I want to see Dangriga develop as I know it can. The town has potential. So what we need to do, we need to change our mindset. And one of your co-hosts mentioned handouts. We can't wait for government. What we have to do is empower ourselves, emancipate ourselves from mental slavery. That we have a culture that has brought us this far. Our ancestors have brought us this far. We need now to look at the skills that we've gained from our ancestors. We need to look at our skill sets as a people and use those to develop. We need to change our mindset where, for example, every celebration in Dangriga requires large consumption of alcohol. That's not taking us anywhere. So then my parting shot for this show for Dangriga is that look within ourselves. What can you do to make yourself a better person? And collectively, what can be done is for Dangriga to focus on its culture. Use culture as a tool for development. And if that can be done, the Dangriga of the future will be a transformative place.
Ivan?
Yes. I think that is, you see, it requires transformation, people to transform and try to identify what is their purpose, what are they here for, what is the best version of themselves. As a matter of fact, this is why we are having this show. And so we want people to think spiritually, right? And try to explore. And like you said, don't wait. You will find out that you're wasting your life all along. And so we want to then talk to people individually so that from these shows they can learn that, you know what, I can do better. I can leave this world a better place. I can make more earnings. I don't have to be a follower. I can be a leader. Find my niche, work on it. This is the kind of thing that we are hoping to achieve through the show. Thank you.
Doc, you did not disappoint. No, you came all fired up. You had on your boxing glove. I did try spar with you, but you. Oh yeah. You're and I learned something about you today. I learned that you think like a policymaker, and I'm very serious about that. Let's discuss more out here. This has been Reality with Partiality. All our studios we've had the pleasure of Dr. Castillo. We grew up together. We did all these things together, play marble together, went to Sacred Heart together, and so on. So that let's continue up here.
All the best, gentlemen. All the very best, gentlemen.